people do what they're paid to do.
Right.
And what we do is we sit down with your team. So like, let's say you give a general manager, and by the way, I tell people, like, do not give shares to someone that you're dating. Give it to someone you're ready to marry, right? Because it's a big deal.
This week on Let's Vent, the soft launch of the new show, which is a little odd to say when we're like 10, 12, 15 episodes in, somewhere around there. But we were at AHR in Orlando last year. We pre-recorded a bunch of episodes. And while we were on the show, we kind of talked about how it was the soft launch. So there you go. But it was a wild one to open up with. I sat down with Jacob Gee, the owner of Gee Heating and Air up in Georgia, and he and Will Kinsey, the owner of Conduit Warranty Corporation. You see, these two guys are buddies, and they drove down together to come and see AHR and then hang out with me at the podcast pavilion. But Will built Jacob his first real contractor-owned warranty program 4 years ago. Jacob was customer number one. And we got into why almost every we just set the money aside warranty setup in this industry is illegal. The Florida case that almost put an entire dealership's warranty department out of business, and the tax wealth creation strategy that these guys are running in the background of every install. And we get into the equity play, how you can give your best people real ownership without having to give up a single share of your shop. If you've ever wondered what the top operators are actually doing with their warranty dollars, this one's for you. So let's get into it. So welcome, guys.
Very cool. Thanks for having us, Evan.
Yeah, appreciate having
Glad
us.
to be here, man.
No worries. Well, Will, Jacob is the owner of Gee Heating and Air in Georgia, right? Just outside Atlanta.
Just outside Atlanta.
Yeah. And then we've got Will here, who is the owner of Conduit, which is a warranty company, right? Helping contractors set up warranties and really become their own warranty company as opposed to relying on others. So really fascinated about this level of conversation. Going to dive into some sales topics, how we can really help contractors work with their team, develop some solid management training strategies, make sure that we're retaining managers in our offices. And I think you two have a really unique situation going on where, you know, obviously Jacob was customer number one and has really helped grow and be the test dummy for your product. So he's going to tell a lot about his story as well and how he's utilized it. So why don't we just start with the journey into how we got to where we are today?
Yeah, so I'll open up. Jake and I, we've known each other for a very long time. He's a terrible judge of character. He's hung around for entirely too long. We were friends all the way through high school and college, and then ultimately we ended up going different routes. Jacob went into the trades. I was in logistics for a while and then ended up in the finance world. We were mostly focusing in brown and white goods and the automotive departments, and everyone here is familiar with when you get those phone calls for your extended warranties on your vehicles. Extremely annoying. I just want to clarify right now that was not me. But we were working with some major corporations. We were with Porsche and Acura and Harley Davidson. And my firm that I was at, we started looking at new opportunities. And we were having lunch with Jake one day, myself and a couple other guys. His brother Joe was there. And they're like, "What do you do, Will? Like, what are you doing for these guys?" And we kind of explained that we were able to create these secondary businesses that were able to be owned by the manufacturers, that created a second line of profit for them. There were these tax advantages associated with it, and it added this level of customer support that they were able to give their customers because there wasn't a third party necessarily owning the warranty, right? Now there's administrators and there's underwriters and there's legalities associated with all of this, but ultimately, you know, there's some sense of control there that you don't necessarily get to have if there's just a third party involved. So we have this conversation, and Jake and his brother Joe were like, "We don't have that in our industry, right? Like we don't have that. Can you do it?" And I'm the kind of person that'll look at you and be like, "I don't know." Right? So that was my response was, I don't know. Let's get legal involved. Let's see if we can make it happen. So me and a couple really amazing guys in the reinsurance industry hammered down for, Jake, almost a year? Almost a year doing the underwriting and the legwork for creating a contractor-owned warranty program. And we were able to roll it out with the G's in the Atlanta market. and they've seen a lot of success with it. And ultimately, we were idiots as a firm, and we didn't see the opportunity.
Right.
Like we were like, okay, like great job, Jake. Glad that worked out for you. You were our friend. Let's move on down the road. Let's focus on automotive. Let's focus on brown and white goods. And Jake and Joe wouldn't shut up about it, right? So they start telling guys. And by the way, that's one of my favorite things about this industry, Evan, is how all the contractors are so willing to talk to each other and share that secret sauce. And I can tell you, like, in the automotive world, one car dealer doesn't want the other car dealer to know the type of coffee creamer that's in their break room. Like there's no sharing of trade secrets. So when Jake and Joe were willing to start talking to other contractors about this, it sort of just organically grew over time. And it was really, really exciting. And it still took me, probably 18 months or so to kind of recognize the opportunity. Ultimately, we ended up separating and creating an entirely new agency that only focuses on the trades, Conduit, Warranty Corporation, and it has been a hit. So that's kind of how we all ended up getting here.
That's super cool. So Jacob, before you heard of Conduit, before you started looking at how do we implement this, how do we bring it into the trades, what were you using before? It doesn't have to be a specific company, but what was the model that you were using before, and why was that such a pain point for you?
Well, to be honest with you, at first we were doing a little bit of kind of inside our own, you've heard a lot of people say, oh, we just put a little money away, whatever. I didn't like the idea of paying at the time for a third party. We did a few through like the manufacturers that you could buy an extra, like I think Goodman and Amman and all those kind of like ones you could buy a little bit extra labor warranty with. But once we kind of were like, I don't like just paying them money, and then we always had a fight trying to get back money. It was always like their negotiated rates, their all this stuff, and end of the day, we're just kind of like, let's put a few. We stopped doing that too. After I kind of talked to him about that, I was like, hey, you can't really put labor warranties without having like insurance and all this stuff that's on top of it. He started educating me on that, and that's when really the kind of conversation started. We're like, can you just set this up for me? And so it kind of went from let me do it in-house to hey, let me set this up for you. I'll show you how it's really done. We can make a lot of money, do it right, do it the right way. So that's really kind of the progression that we did. So
well, and I see that with a lot of contractors. It's just like, yeah, I just throw some money away, put it in a separate account. I try not to touch it, right? But inevitably they dip into it whenever they need to. But yeah, they put it aside and then they end up getting into trouble with it, right? And the legal reasons behind it, right? So why, and you could probably explain it way better than I can. So what is the legal ramifications of trying to set up your own warranty thing without actually doing it the right way?
Sure. So one of my favorite questions to ask contractors, and this is shops that range from $3 million shops up to $100 million shops, guys that are doing it in-house. Evan, I'll sit down, and you said, like, we're going to try not to touch that money, right? We'll sit down, and I'll go, okay, how many warranties did you write over the last 10 years? And there's always a number.
Yeah.
And it's like, great. So we set aside $1.2 million, right? And it's like, well, yeah, I think it's mixed in there somewhere.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, where is it at? Where is the money? And ultimately, it's never there.
Right.
It's never there. And it's all done in good intentions. And ultimately, I think that most guys in this industry are going to take care of their customers. But the fact of the matter is that if you're telling a customer that they're receiving a warranty and you're not properly setting aside funds to handle that warranty, that is illegal. You cannot do that. The CFPB was really, really cracking down on that. Obviously, in today's political climate, the CFPB is, it ceased to exist, I think, like 3 days ago. But the CFPB was really coming after a lot. Yeah, Doge doing great things for the warranty world.
Yeah.
But with that being said, CFPB was actually really coming after people. But there is a lot of legalities involved with the warranty world, and what people don't understand is that warranties are ultimately a form of insurance, and if you don't have something actually backing those policies, you are putting a guarantee out there that you can't ultimately back yourself from a legal standpoint. Actually, one of the strictest states in the country that will come and shut you down is the beautiful state of Florida that we're sitting in right now, which is interesting because a lot of people assume that Florida's the Wild West, quite unregulated, right? I mean, it's Florida, man. And with that being said, this is one of the highest warranty regulated states in the nation. And like, here's a background story on that. This young lady, this is a true story, Evan. And
Good, 'cause I hate for you to grab
you probably haven't heard this story because you're not in the warranty circles and you're not lame like that. But with that being said, this young lady, she went and she purchased her first car since her dad had died. Her father had passed away, and she came back to her job. She was excited. She had picked it up at lunch. And her boss was like, hey, do you want me to look over the paperwork? I know you're excited, but I'd be glad to take a look at it. And she was like, well, yeah, that'd be great. If you wouldn't mind, please take a look at my paperwork. So this is right here in Florida. Her boss looks at it, and he says, you were charged $8,000 for a warranty that has a max payout of $2,500. This is a problem. This is a legal issue. This is usury. Her boss happened to be the Attorney General for the state of Florida. So he came in and he shut down the entire warranty department. He rewrote all of the consumer protection laws on warranties and insurance policies. And because of that, the state of Florida is one of the toughest states to operate in. As you know, it's also one of the most saturated states in the HVAC industry. So this has really been a huge market for us in the Florida industry. Because guys down here know, right? Like when you talk to contractors in Florida, it's one of the few states that people have heard stories of their friend that like had serious legal issues. But the fact of the matter is that those legalities carry over in most every other state.
Right. Well, and especially in Florida, and I mean any coastal state where you get a lot of wear and tear on the equipment. Definitely warranty comes into play. People think their warranty will cover them for certain things, and of course, I mean, rust from sea air is not covered. So definitely there's a lot of warranty issues that you deal with and consumer confusion and things like that. So when it comes to properly communicating what it is that's actually covered within the warranties, I know you spend a lot of time in sales training, but Jacob, with your team specifically, how is it that you properly communicate warranties, leverage it to not only generate sales, but also generate more customers and phone calls in the first place?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, well, the cool thing what I like the idea of the whole in-house was that it was my customer inside of my ecosystem.
Right.
They never were to leave like that. So like whenever they need to process a warranty and stuff, they come to me. And well, they don't even really think about it because they're calling me like, hey, my unit just installed 2 years ago, is not working. Hey, we'll be right out. I can handle the whole thing. I don't have to worry about if someone's third party warranty is going to accept their claim. I can take care of the customer immediately because I know at the end of the day, the contractor owns the warranty. So like I know that that kind of can take care of my customer as fast as possible. And also one of the things inside of that warranty is they're not they're only supposed to use your company, right? Yep. And unless for some reason you're not able to facilitate them, the contract's written that they can go then to another HVAC. But so you're in control of the whole process, which I like that because I don't want someone else having control over that my customer and being able to. I don't really like having the data even. Another third party warranty. You never know what they might do with that data, sell it to, whatever. So I like having that all in-house, all in my control, all in my ecosystem. So as far as communicating to our teams and stuff like what's covered and all that kind of stuff, your original question, that comes down to actually, Will actually spent a lot of time in our sales meetings and basically would go over any questions. He's super available. Anytime my teams had any questions, they all have his number, and they literally were like, hey, Will, what about this situation? Now, I know he can't probably do that for everybody, but he definitely done it for me and came in and did sales training and all that kind of stuff with my team. So they know a lot of that stuff, and he has a pamphlet. It's a big, huge Waffle House menu of kind of the details, any legalities, any stuff that they might need to reference. He has all that kind of stuff, so it kind of communicates in that sense. It's very simple, though. We kept it simple from the beginning because we knew that we didn't want it confusing anybody. We want the customer to be clear on what is actually covered. It's for this property or this unit, that kind of stuff. But outside of it don't really get into crazy details. It's mostly just labor. I know that the warranty companies can also do parts and other kind of custom format stuff that he can kind of equip, but as far as our actual one, it's just labor. So it's basically just whatever we need to come up for that usually the contractors having to eat out of our profits. Right. We're able to access the reserve. Right. Yeah.
And we'll get into exactly how your program works here in a second too. But are you able to customize what it is that your warranty covers? Sure. Because you're in control of it?
Yeah. So basically, end of the day, there is a set format, portal, all that kind of stuff where they're able to actually claim funds and everything. So that whole thing can be automized as far as like your staff. But if there's ever like a high level issue, which I've never had in the 4 years we've been running it, never had an issue where something didn't get, accepted or whatever weird kind of situation. Usually it's just super easy, claim it, get your funds out the door. It wires you to, it's ACH to back to your bank account. So it's super easy, but if there's ever a high level issue, then they are told to alert me, and then I will call, Conduit and say, hey, what's going on in this situation? Oh, it must be just a little bug, fix it. It's never really an issue on that side of things.
So there's no approval of like, oh, customer needs this work done. Is it covered? Is it not covered?
There is an approval process, and we'll kind of.
Yeah. So ultimately, because we are operating small insurance companies, right? They are contractor-owned, but they are small insurance companies. So we do have to follow what the contract says. Now, beyond that, the contract is customizable, like you just asked. So, the one thing that we consistently tell contractors is we're here to make your warranty dreams come true, as lame as that sounds. But with that being said, we want to do that within guide rails, right? So that's one thing that we're big on is okay, Evan, you come up with this really cool warranty that you want to write. Let's put guide rails on it. Let's make sure that we are operating legally and that this contract language covers what you want covered. And what we do is we take all of those question marks out from the beginning, right? So to answer your question, yes, we can customize, but we will make sure that what it is you're looking to customize is within the guide rails of legalities and reality. And then also we want to make sure that it's going to be profitable for the contractor down the road as well. We'll often say, hey, Evan, you may not want to put a coverage on that for 35 years.
Right.
That may be a bad idea, right? So we do have those conversations. One thing I also wanted to kind of loop back around to was a question that you had asked about how do we convey coverages to customers? How do we explain that? So my favorite coverage to offer to the consumer is going to be what we would call a wrap coverage. Okay, so most of your units that are coming from the manufacturer now, if we're talking about HVAC, and by the way, we do generators, we do plumbing, we do solar, we do electrical panels, we do it all. But let's focus on HVAC because we're at an HVAC conference right now. So with that being said, most of these units are coming with a 10-year parts from your manufacturer, and I know that some guys have 30-year compressors or lifetime compressors, and you can negotiate different things, but as a whole, the industry is getting 10-year parts. So what we like to do is wrap that coverage with a labor warranty, and by wrap, we just say, look, you get 10 years parts, let's do 10 years labor. So then what we're able to do is really convey a clear message to your consumer and say, okay, Mr. Customer, you're getting 10 years of worry-free ownership of this unit. Right? There's no confusion with that. There's no, the labor's 15 and your parts are 10, so in those back 5 years you may have to purchase some parts but not have to pay for labor. What we found is as a contractor, you're much better off to have a very clear and concise message on your warranty rather than have something that maybe sounds a bit more grandiose but has some more contractual liability to it. So in an ideal world, what we encourage contractors to do is let's wrap whatever your factory parts are with a wrapped labor coverage so that they match, so that we can convey a very clear message to your consumer and say you get X number of years of worry-free ownership.
I love it. Well, and I had a conversation earlier this week with Nick at JCI, and we talked about how technicians, their job is really to be a translator, right? You're in the home and a customer does not understand, more often than not, what it is that an air conditioner actually does, right? They don't understand how it works. And so you need to clearly convey that message back to them in language that they do understand. And so when you make it simple, they're going to say yes, and it's going to make sense to them. If you make it confusing, a confused mind says no, they're going to say, I need to think about it, right? So you need to be able to convey that message really, really clearly. So how have you seen this impact your sales? And is it actually a meaningful impact there, or is it more so just the peace of mind knowing that you're actually covered on the back end?
It started as a peace of mind kind of thing, especially after kind of talking with Will and how we can set this up. And we kind of, built one of the cool things that he does is he's all about wealth creation, which is kind of cool because a lot of the vendors and distributors that you talk to, they don't really give a crap about how much money you make. So that was kind of cool. So he came in and he's like, hey, let's do a pro forma of these amount of warranties. If we could just put, this much every month, at the end of, 4 or 5 years, you'll have this much, cash in reserve and, all that stuff. So back to your original question of like, it kind of started out as that peace of mind because I didn't really worry too much about like the actual like sales impact because I knew we were kind of wanting to do this. People were expecting it at that time, but then we kind of started getting creative with it. And because we became so confident, I became more energized. My brother did too about pushing these, that all of a sudden we started seeing, oh wow, this isn't just a line item cost. This is actually pushing sales where people are like, no one else is really talking about 10-year warranties. No one else is talking about 5-year warranties, whatever your setup that you're doing. A lot, especially in our area, a lot of the contractors, we really don't go up against many people with labor warranties at the time. Well, now, thanks to this guy, he's signed up some other people in in Atlanta that's doing it, and so now it's kind of pushing the market. We're starting to see it more and more. I'm like, is this a direct result of? It's all good. But anyway, so it has become a sales thing where we're now really kind of have to become kind of the standard people are wanting. Second thing is because how simple it is and how our guys are well educated on it. They're beating out other people who are like selling third-party warranties. Where they're kind of like, let me find out. I don't know if that's covered. If that's whenever you're trying to have that clear conversation with a homeowner, and also the fact that they can pull up a contract in 2 seconds and be able to show them exactly what this is like. It's a very simple contract. It's not like one of these long, drawn-out ones that someone else is trying to sell you. So end of the day, my customer likes it better, right? And they know that it's like how clear and cut it is. And so it was started out with peace of mind, and it's a peace of mind for my family and being able to build wealth, but at the same time also creating that for the team. And then we're actually able, and Will can kind of elaborate on this if he wants to, but he has built out where, you can have like top GMs or people in your company where you can give them some piece of the pie of that. So then it increased that sales drive too, without me having to give up equity inside my own company. Right. So that's something I'll let him kind of talk more too, but it kind of answers your question though. It does help out with sales.
So do you just put the warranty on, it's automatic, you already built it into the price, or do you give them the option of, do you want to add it or not?
So that's a good question. So what we did was we tested both of them, but we found the best thing to do is we have packages, like everybody has like 6 packages, right? Our top premium, top of the line one, that's got your 10-year, or if you want to go to a 12-year, I know that's kind of what the industry's moving to, is that 12.
It is, yeah.
Year. I really don't like doing the 15, but 12 years probably where the industry's kind of headed to. And so what we did is like premium one doing like 12-year, and then kind of the middle packages having like the 5, and then the bottom one having like a 1-year. So that's kind of, but we put it into each package instead of having, because whenever you try to upsell it on the end of an HVAC sale, especially if your customer's hot in the house, they're like, I need this thing fixed right now. I don't really care. Cool, it has 10-year warranty. So instead of them being like, oh, I just sold you a system, now let me sell you all this extra stuff. I like just putting it all in the pie, and then that way each salesman knows what ingredients are in the mill that they're selling, right? Instead of trying to add on constantly. But so yeah, we just put it into the price. Yeah.
Love it. I want to get into the structure a little bit and how you actually build this, and so that you can own it. Because I can see as a comfort advisor, I used to sell equipment back in 2014, and I could see a lot of value being able to be conveyed to the customer to say, hey, look, like, let me explain to you how this warranty works. We actually own this warranty company. So what does this mean to you? It means that we know for sure that when you have an issue, your labor is covered. We don't have to go for approval. We don't need a third party. It's really cut and dry, so that the decision-making process is really, really fast, and we can get to you really quickly, right? And so you can easily convey that. So how is this structured for a contractor so that they can actually own their own warranty company?
Yeah, perfect. So that's where we come in, and we really white glove the process for the contractor. It's fun to me because we have such a wide range of shops that are doing business with us, all the way from $2-3 million up to $100 million plus shops. And it's interesting when you talk to even some of these massive shops that have tons of resources and tons of people on payroll, very, very, very smart operators. They've looked into this whole idea, and they've actually looked into, hey, how do we start our own warranty corporation? And it turns out that it's actually quite challenging. However, since we do it every single day, we have the infrastructure and that allows us to do it for our contractors quickly and efficiently, and it's something that we just feel very comfortable with. So with that being said, what we actually do for the contractor, and one thing I want to make very clear, Evan, is every time we start going down this pathway, one of the main concerns is like, how much effort is this going to take from me? I would like to focus on selling HVAC systems, right? And for me, the conversation that I have with every guy that owns a shop is you do what you're good at, and we'll do what we're good at, right? We're going to white glove this entire process for you. You're going to need to set aside about 3 hours of your life for the entire process, and we'll handle everything else for you. So what we do is we go open you up a separate corporation that you own 100% of the shares of. We have administrative access. We can go in, we can access that. We administrate the entire program for you. We have a call center that handles claims. We have accounting teams. We have legal teams. We handle all of that for you. So all you have to do to get that process started is you fill out a packet with us. We open this corporation for you. Then we open the bank accounts for you. And then our accounting team reaches out to your accounting team, and we go in and we train them. And then all you have to do as a contractor at this point is sell a unit, put a labor warranty on it, and then you purchase that labor warranty just like you would if it were coming from a third party. However, when you send the check to my team's going to go through. We're going to take an administrative fee. Everybody wants to know, hey, Will, is this a nonprofit organization you're running, right? We are a for-profit organization. We do make money. But with that being said, we're in the sprinkle business. I told you we're in the sprinkle business, right? You can keep the whole ice cream sundae. You get the vanilla scoops, you get the whipped cream, you get the hot fudge. You can even keep the cherry. We just want the sprinkles. So we take an admin fee off of your cost of your
Best part.
Well, you know, we are a little selfish. No, we take a little bit off the top, and then what we do is the remainder of those funds are actually deposited into a bank account that's held by the company that you own. Down the road, let's say there's a claim. Your customer will call our call center. Our call center would approve or deny that claim. By the way, we have a 100% claims approval rate right now. 100%. We have never declined a claim. And
find me another warranty company that can say that.
And with that being said, as soon as we approve that claim, Evan, you're paid immediately as the contractor. We pay you with a credit card on the phone right then. And then we reimburse ourselves out of that bank account that's held by your reinsurance company.
Right.
But ultimately, that's what the whole process looks like. We open this company for you. We administrate this company for you. You just simply get to install units, focus on doing what you do, and then you write policies on those units. I wanted to loop back around to a question that you had asked Jake about where do you see success with the warranty program. So I'm going to once again every time it comes to me, I'm going to give you like a little warranty education, right? We're going to get into the nerdiness of warranties.
Let's get nerdy.
Let's talk about the difference between a limited warranty and a service contract, just for like 60 seconds here, okay? So limited warranty, you go to Target, Walmart, whatever you prefer, you buy an Oster blender. It says this comes with a 2-year warranty.
Right.
Would you ever go up to the lady at the checkout and be like, hey, I want this $30 blender, but I do not want this 2-year warranty with it. Can you give me a $5 discount?
Never.
Right, because you're not a psychopath. So with that being said, that's a limited warranty, right? So limited warranties are included with the sale of a product. It's built in. There's nothing you can do to take it away. Now, same thing that you're seeing happening, and by the way, there's a reason it's becoming super popular. It's the financial benefits of it. But now when you go check out at Best Buy, Home Depot, Target, Walmart, especially at self-checkout, you scan that item and it says, would you like to add a 5-year service contract?
Yep.
Service contract, that's the term, right? So service contracts are optional and they're an additional fee and they are for sale. Limited warranties are included with the product. So we see tons of success in this industry with limited warranties built into the packages, and I'm a big fan of menu selling, stair-stepping up like Jake had said. Service contracts often become the sacrificial lamb.
Right.
Miss Smith, listen, I can save you $500. We're gonna take care of you, right? Don't worry about it. You don't need this. And then we remove that warranty.
Right.
Ultimately, who does that hurt?
The customer.
The customer. Miss Smith, she's the one that gets hurt in that situation. And then whose reputation's on the line?
Yours. It's the contractor.
The contractor, exactly. So my advice to every contractor that I sit down with is let's avoid service contracts because they don't work. You're going to run a 3% penetration rate. When you do sell them, you're going to have customers that feel like they bought something that they really don't know what they got. And ultimately, 95% plus of your customers are being told, we can take this out and we'll take care of you anyways.
Right.
And that's bad business.
Right. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do the warranties transfer in home ownership? So if the homeowner sells, would you transfer it to the next homeowner?
Yeah, so our current contract's written that it's they have a $20 fee that they call in, and they're able to transfer it over. I like that because as a contractor, I'm notified when it's a new homeowner, and then I'm like, okay, I can remarket to that person. You know, it just kind of keeps, again, talking about my ecosystem. So I like that they have to call in to transfer it over. It doesn't automatically transfer.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I want to talk about the forced savings account because this was something that was brought up earlier this week. I did a show with Derek Cormier, climate experts out in Melbourne, Florida, and he talked about the forced savings account and how that really sets him up the right way so that he can create wealth within the company and within the corporation. So what is that? How does it work? Why is this something that was important to you as you set up this structure for contractors?
Sure. So first of all, this company is ultimately, if you look at our legal filing, we're called Conduit Wealth Creation. We are Conduit Warranty Corporation for everything from a marketing purpose, but we are Conduit Wealth Creation, and we are in the wealth creation business for contractors. That's what we do. With that being said, I do want to take like a 5-second sidebar and say I love Derek from Climate Experts. He's one of my most favorite contractors. He's absolutely killing it. And sorry, Jake.
Right. He did say one of
my favorites, Jake also. But with that being said,
Don't get your panties in a bunch.
Derek is killing it, man. And man, what he's doing with his marketing department is incredible to me. At my heart, at my core, I am a sales guy, and what they're doing with their marketing department is really incredible. But with that being said, so forced savings account, I believe is what you just called it. We don't hold you at gunpoint or anything.
No,
right? We just make sure that it's legal, right? So for you, we kind of loop back around to that initial conversation of like, when we sit down with contractors that are doing in-house, the very first thing that I ask is okay, well, where's the money?
Mm-hmm.
It's never there.
It's never there.
It's
it
never
got
there.
spent on marketing, or got spent on parts, or whatever.
Maybe boats.
Right? Yeah.
Whatever, right? So with that being said, the money's never there. So what we do is we make that process simple. So that separate company that we open up, it has a bank account. It has a trust account. And that account is there to pay claims. So your HVAC shop purchases this policy just like you would purchase it from a third party. So you got to send the money out. Now this is important because let's talk about tax strategy here for a minute. So when we purchase that policy as a shop, we create an expense, right? So let's just say it's $1,000 for a 10-year warranty, and I think that's a bit high, but I'm just saying nice round numbers here. So let's say it's $1,000. So that's $1,000 that, by the way, if you tried to in-house this, ultimately you would need to pay regular taxable income on that, which between state and federal, 42%.
Right.
You're Canadian, maybe north of 50, right? So with that being said, particularly in like states like California and New York, I mean, you're pushing 45% plus on regular taxable income. So when that $1,000 expense hits your books, that leaves your HVAC shop, and then it goes into your reinsurance company, right? It goes into your warranty corporation. Your warranty corporation takes that money. We pull out our admin fee. So let's say out of $1,000, we have to pull out an admin fee. That's how we make money. That's how we keep our doors open. That's how I have my legal team, actuarials, claims department, etc.
Yeah.
We also have to pay a premium tax, which it varies state to state, but it's typically a fraction of a point. It's very small. We have to pay a seeding fee to move the money into the insurance company. And then most importantly, we purchase a CLIP. That's a contractor liability insurance policy.
Okay.
CLIP. We've partnered with a multi-billion-dollar corporation that backs those policies. They're a large insurance company out of the great state of Florida. And with that being said, what we do is we purchase that CLIP, and then let's say there's $800 left over. That $800 goes into that forced savings account that's held by the insurance company. It's now recategorized as insurance premium. And Evan, do you care to guess how much taxes you have to pay on insurance premium?
0.
That's right, 0. Because there's future risk associated with insurance premiums. So once we recategorize that money and we move it into your reinsurance company, it's now insurance premium, and the tax liability goes down the road. So ultimately, once it's deposited into that account, at the end of the year, we don't have to pay taxes on that money. Now, down the road, it can become taxable depending on how you choose to access those funds. But at that moment, we have non-taxable insurance premium hitting those accounts. And then also one thing I wanted to hit on real quick while we were at it were clips. The reason we have to buy a clip, Evan, is because if that trust account or forced savings account were to go empty,
Right.
we still ultimately need to protect Ms. Smith, the consumer.
Right.
So what would happen is that backup insurance policy would step in and pay claims on behalf of your insurance company to Ms. Smith so that the consumer is always protected. And that's where we get into this, how do we make sure this is legal? How do we make sure we're operating as we should? That's one of those little boxes that we have to check to be able to operate legally.
Got it. So what happens when that labor warranty runs out?
Sure.
And it never got activated. They never needed to use it.
Yep.
Where does that money go?
So ultimately, as that money sits in that trust account, it's going to be invested for the contractor. Now, we have laws that we have to follow as an insurance company. We cannot put it all into some meme coin or some shit coin or Bitcoin or whatever we want to put it into that week. Hock to a girl coin, I don't know. Whatever you want to put it into, we can't do that because it's an insurance company. So we do have to follow pretty conservative investment guidelines. But with that being said, we typically see somewhere between a 5 to 9% annual return on that money.
Okay.
So you did a 10-year labor app, right? 10 years later, that $800 is going to compound, and you should have well over $1,000 from that policy. It's going to be sitting in your A trust. What we do is over time, we actually open up a second bank account that's held by your insurance company. And once those policies mature, so a 10-year policy is a really good example. So roughly 1/10 of the risk goes away every year. So what we do is we'll take 1/10 of the funds every year and we'll move them into a B account. That's called earned premium, meaning there's no longer risk associated with it. Right. And the reason we move it into that B account is because once it's in the B account, you can invest it however you see fit, because there's not risk associated with it. However, moving it from A to B is a non-taxable event. And we handle all of that for you, but ultimately you do end up with 2 bank accounts. So 10 years down the road, the full dollar amount has matured. It's all in the B account. You have over $1,000 in there now because it's earned compounding interest over time. Now you have 2 options. You say, well, I want to pull this money out. I'm ready to go buy my boat. I'm ready to go buy my beach house, right? We've hopefully done this on more than one policy. I hope you have a couple $1 million in there, but let's say that it's $1,000. You can access those funds in 2 ways, Evan. You can take those out as a qualified dividend. Okay. So that's going to be a 20% tax rate at the moment. Right. Or you can actually pull those funds out in the form of a loan. So let's say that you need $1,000, or let's take this big picture. Let's say that you have $1 million in there and you go, hey, I want to grow my shop. I need to go buy $500,000 worth of equipment. No problem. You can actually access that $500,000 from your insurance company in the form of a loan. So my team, my legal team, at no additional fee, would write up a loan structure, and we would say, okay, Evan, here's $500,000 for 5 years at an interest rate of 5%, right? It's got to be reasonable and customary interest rates. And then, Evan, you would make payments to your reinsurance company. Correct. And that interest is collected by your reinsurance company, and ultimately, depending on the form of the loan, even the interest could be written off as a tax write-off.
Marketing isn't magic, it's math. At Free Agency, we've got the formula tattooed on our brains. We are not a digital marketing agency. We don't just throw things at the wall hoping they stick and call it strategy. We're a fractional CMO. The people who come in, grab the wheel, and drive your growth like it owes us money. Our system isn't guesswork. It's battle tested at the highest level. Last year, our clients averaged 45% growth. We've taken companies from 8 figures to 9 in just 12 months. And here's the kicker. We don't do it by blowing your budget. We do it by spending smarter and focusing on 4 core moves. 1, branding, to drive your brand in your market. 2, paid leads. We bring in high intent leads into the business, customers who are ready to buy. Conversion, focusing on turning those leads into clients. And lastly, nurturing, to increase the lifetime value of every single client. Every step is intentional. Every dollar is tracked. And if you're spending $1 million a year in marketing without a 10x return, you're flushing money down the drain. We work with ambitious, no BS contractors who don't just want to try marketing. They want to win. So if you're ready for 50 to 100% growth in the next 12 months, let's talk. At Free Agency, we don't just play the game. We rewrite the rules so that you win every time.
Well, that's some fascinating shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's the game that you start to play is what those high level executives that you hear about that don't pay taxes, or they pay a significantly reduced tax rate on the money that they take out of their corporations. This is the game that they play, and they move pieces around in order to do that and to be able to access money that most don't have access to. The other part that you talked about was how we can leverage this as a way to hold on to and keep some of our top managers as well, and leveraging equity within the company, not on the home services side, not on the trade side, but on the warranty side. And now you can still maintain leverage in your company. Have you used this, Jacob, at Key?
Well, we haven't currently set it up that way. Right now, 100% is owned between my brother and myself. But we have looked at getting some of our top GMs in that basically set up.
Yeah, because it's pretty normal for companies to, as they're growing, to want to include their top managers as equity partners within the business, give them an opportunity to earn at least non-voting shares within the business. So how is this a way now to, as you're creating a second corporation that's managing these warranties, how can you leverage this to then give equity to those staff members and help them grow within the company?
Yeah, so the way that Will showed me was he was talking about some other contractors that he had, and he brings a lot of the cool advice from the automotive world that he came from, and apparently this is very common in the automotive world. And to me, it was like foreign language, So, but yeah, he was saying that like basically you can just you have a top guy that you're like, he might be either considering himself going to start another HVAC company, and you're like, hey, I don't blame him because obviously we're we own our own companies. Or they're like, hey, this guy over here is offering me, percent of his company or whatever. Well, then, hey, what if I could give you 10% of, or whatever the thing comes out to, of the warranty company, or something like that? Yeah, I think that might be good because they know how much that money that's being every single policy is being put forward into this to this account, and then he directly affects, like the guy that I'm considering for is our GM of our sales. And so, like, he directly impacts that part of the business, whereas there's a lot of other factors of the company that doesn't really involve him, that he doesn't really, if you're an owner of the whole company and, you're spending too much on other parts of the business, yeah, it's going to hurt your distributions. But, hey, I know the sales, I can pump those and I can push into this this reserve, and it doesn't impact me. So, like, it's kind of a very, you called it like pushing the same cart forward kind of thing. Like, everybody's on the same page to sell more, to put more into the reserve, benefiting the company and the reserve. So, yeah, it seems like a very beneficial thing. We've looked at it, and of course, you want to find the right people to do it. And he's even talked to me a lot of strategies of like you can write anything where basically if they leave the company, they're no longer a part of the reserve. So there's ways of protecting yourself other than like getting into a legal battle over the actual your company yourself. So it seems like a lot more, because a lot of people want to be like, oh, I like this guy a lot. He's helped out me a lot. I'm going to give him 5% of my company off the bat. And it's like, well, hold on. There's it could be in the future. There could be a lot of legality problems to this. So this is kind of one thing that he advises a lot on. I lean on Will a lot of the structuring and all that kind of stuff, on top of the sales knowledge that he has of how to build out this kind of incentive program for the sales. So.
Well, I just love it as another tool in the toolbox, right? It's another option for you as a contractor to be able to grow your business, grow your team, incentivize your team, provide financial stability and future wealth building for them in a way that a lot of other contractors cannot do. So it gives you another extra leg up. We always talk about value building from a business side of things and how can we market our company. Well, there's two different types of people that you're marketing to. There's the consumers that are buying the products, but there's also the recruiting aspect of it. That is a constant marketing effort. And when you're able to advertise your business in a way that is sharing equity, especially on the sales side, that they can directly influence through warranties, I think it's another beautiful thing, and it's an option, right? At the end of the day, you want to put yourself in a position of choice. That you can decide how it is that you want to run your company and what benefits that you can give to people, but it's just another tool in the toolbox.
One thing I might add to that too, what I like a lot is, any contractor understands what I'm talking about with cash flow in your business. You, of course, during like the winter months or whatever months might be that you're lower production, spring, whatever, you start seeing all that cash kind of just pull out. And it's like my P&Ls are looking fine, everything's looking good, but cash flow is always it's like the one last thing that you're like, it feels like it's constantly fleeting. Well, one of the nice things to do is when I wake up in the morning, I check my, check your bank accounts, like a lot of people do, right? But also check my reserve, and that money's staying there.
Right.
It's not floating out. It's not floating. It's just like it's constantly growing more and more. It's being invested too while it's there, and it gives you a little bit of peace of mind that I know that I've actually done myself what he's talking about with loaning the money out, and so we're able to, when we're trying to invest, we had bought like 10 vehicles at one point, and so like that hits a lot of cash flow because it takes time to train, to get people in those vans and all that stuff. I'm able to do like a 5-year loan from my reserve to my company, and I was able to do a year payments, so I wouldn't have to pay monthly payments. You can set up however you want to. So I did like 1 year payment, and then I did for 5 years, and then of course the interest rate and stuff like that. And you only have to pay the interest.
Right.
So I have 5 years to get that money back into my bank if I needed to, but it's my own money, so like I can't, So like it's the contractor's, the reserve's money. So that was beneficial for me being able to not have to pay taxes on it because I'm pulling out of that company. I'm able to just fully grow that money, in which all grows the reserve at the end of the day if the company's growing.
Right.
So I'm able to kind of invest. It's really a great financial strategy. I've gotten once I didn't really understand it at the beginning, to be honest with you, because Will's coming in like explaining all these like A accounts, B accounts. And I'm like, dude, I'm not an accountant at all.
Yeah,
It's not. That's why I didn't go to college. Like I did 3 years, but I didn't go to be an accountant or anything. But like. The cool thing was he's like, dude, I'm telling you, our firm takes care of all the accounting. They literally just send me a thing in the mail. It's like, hey, sign here. And that's like all I deal with it. And then my sales team, he trains them. And then they just basically, he set up with my person who does our warranties in our company. That's who registers these labor warranties. I don't touch it. I just get to see the money grow. So I don't know. Might be simple terms for me, but.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to share a fun story. We have a contractor in the southeast, and he's a pretty big guy, and it's interesting how this just kind of happens in the background. So he plugged these in as a limited warranty. It's whatever, it's $500-$600 on every unit they install, and it's just business as usual. And they were plugging away for a few years, and he was switching over financial advisors. And what we do is we sit down with your team. So like, let's say you give a general manager, and by the way, I tell people, like, do not give shares to someone that you're dating. Give it to someone you're ready to marry. Right? Because it's a big deal. But when you get these shares to the right people, and here's another little like thing that I love to say, and this just comes from a sales training standpoint. One of my favorite things to say is people do what they're paid to do.
Right.
Like, that shouldn't be earth-shattering concepts here, but when we start talking about pay plans, and it's kind of what Jake said, like when you have a sales manager, if you're putting a $500 warranty or a $1,000 warranty on every single unit, he's looking at that going, hey, let's gut that, let's add it to our bottom line because that's what I'm getting paid off of.
Right.
If all of a sudden he becomes a minority partner in the warranty corporation, he's a big fan of warranties now, right? People do what they're paid to do, so like use that to your advantage.
Well, we do have to wrap up here, so I want to make sure that you've got your information out there. So where can people contact you for Conduit, Will?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to give out my personal email here. It's going to be wkinsey, Kinsey, at conduitwc.com. You can also just email our general email, info@conduitwc.com. One of our team members will get back to you, and then we do have a website, www.conduitwc.com. It's currently being rebranded, but if we can help in any way, we're glad to get in touch with everybody.
And then Jacob?
Yeah, so my name's Jacob G, and my number, you can call my cell phone, 770-503-6910. I'm happy to answer any questions about it. I have a lot of contractors who actually call me and ask about questions and strategies of this kind of stuff, so I'd like to add you to that text group, and I'm happy to help any way I can.
Love it. And do you do shop tours as well? Do you guys have come out for shop
tours?
tours?
Oh yeah, we do shop tours all the time. Yeah, we love that. That's one of my brother. My brother is actually more of a social guy than I am, and he loves having the shop tours come up, and people want to stop by and see what our operation and everything. So
perfect. And in 30 seconds or less, someone who is using you or not using you, one tip on warranties that you would give them, regardless of who they're using.
Use this as a sales tool. We often forget that we're all selling the same equipment, regardless of the brand that's on it. It's the same metal. What customers are truly looking for is peace of mind. This is the third, fourth largest purchase that a customer is going to make in their entire life. We forget that because we're around it every single day. So what we can use to separate ourselves in the industry from our competition and create a much better sales experience for our customer is to offer customer peace of mind. And if you're giving them 10 years or 15 years of worry-free ownership, that customer is going to walk away a significantly happier customer. They're going to be significantly more likely to give you those 5-star reviews.
Perfect. Love it. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for coming down. Appreciate you making the trip from Georgia, checking out AHR, and appreciate everyone that tuned in. And until next time, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Definitely want to hear what you thought of this episode. Leave a comment down below, let us know. And if you really want to show some support back to us, we could really appreciate if you would hit that subscribe button as well. And if you did want to get notified when we come up with a new episode, hit the bell icon over there. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week.